Well, hello everyone. Here to show you that the word New Year's coloring activity right here is just talking about right here is talking about New Year's, and I can remember a number of stories basically talking about New Year's. It's like if it's New Year's Eve or if it's something related to New Year's, and of course right there is so far as for time, and it basically talking about it's like from whenever the hour comes to the little after midnight it's like 12 between 12 midnight and 1 o'clock, something like that, 1 a.m. And basically that we could probably think about with New Year's, it's like if it's New Year's Eve, that the stories from what we can remember on New Year's it was. And I went ahead and color right here is like I say a ball right here, and then of course the ball represent it's like for the next coming year, for countdown of the next year it is. And but I can remember that basically the story goes by that from where I was exactly on say New Year's. I remember that one of the New Year's locations I was at. Of course, I was with my parents. I was with my mom actually, and then of course a couple of New Year's holidays I was with my dad, and of course other family members and friends. It was friends. It was that it was like that one New Year's Eve it was of for New Year's Eve of '99. That would have been about that from whenever the New Year's for 2000 it was for the year 2000. I can still remember that them advertising commercials for the year 2000 it was, because if most of us can remember about during that time whenever they were talking about, of course the Y2K, and then and they were also talking about all that other stuff, sales at the say the furniture stores it was. But basically that you got right here is like the house, and of course almost looks like the house from that where I used to live at. But basically that you have right here is a house, and I can pretty much remember say from where I was on New Year's Eve that from these years it was that went on that a couple of them that I experienced that with a couple of New Year's holidays it was is that I guess you say New Year's festivals it was how you want to pronounce them, to where that on New Year's holiday that if you were at either at home or somewhere, you say at a business or something like that, and then they would have like would say it's like a New Year's party where they would have music playing, and then they would also have like what you call is like other say other type of events going on. One year I went to the comedy club. But let's just say if this was like the house from where I was, and then knowing about if there was about maybe one or two cars parked there it was, and you would have say music, the songs, you see the music instruments and stuff like that. But basically showing is that that with talking about with the word New Year's it was, and with the word New Year's is basically that we could think about it so far the key definition for the word New Year's, that knowing about if you were to be at a certain location it is, and at the time be warned about if maybe if you met anybody for it's like talking about it's like for what your plans were for the next coming year it was, and then on the other hand too that other things that more likely that you could have been doing of course during that time. But I can remember one of the New Year's holidays I remember of course it was after Christmas time that I right after getting moved into the new home, and then of course of knowing about it, it's like that there was we were at a friend's house once or twice, and then I can remember that we were even watching that movie. It's like what you call is like It's a Wonderful Life a couple of times, I think once or twice. That year it was right after it was during the Christmas time that we would say be watching a Christmas movie, and then we were all be gathering around say in the living room waiting for the the ball to go down it was for counting down for next year. And then one year it was back in 1995. I think it was New Year's in '95 or '94 or something like that, that we would make paper confetti. It was, if most of us can remember about it, that yeah, make paper confetti. One year that I can remember, waking up on New Year's Day, on New Year's night. It was probably about a little after 1 a.m. something like that. That I can remember, waking up and then knowing about it. That may have been about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, if I can remember right. It was on, I think it was like on a Friday or a Saturday night. It was something like that, to where woke up and my mom and of course my family members. It's like they all went to bed, and then knowing about all the confetti that was tossed in the air. The confetti that we made that night was tossed, and they already went to bed, and then I remember going out into the living room and being like, I think I wound up falling asleep earlier, that year, and then I think, felt like that I may have missed all the excitement it was, because but earlier that day that I can remember that we were just watching TV, and all of a sudden I wound up drifting off to sleep. I think going to my bedroom or something like that, drifting off to sleep, and everybody else was all in the living room, watching the news, and of course watching the ball drop, and that they had like this paper confetti that they would toss up in the air. And I remember going out into the living room right around, say, 2-3 o'clock in the morning, just to collect the confetti, just to say that, you didn't save any confetti for me, it is. But on the other hand, too, that knowing about, you have some years to where it seems like that yeah, you see it on maybe those TV shows, is that hey, whenever, as soon as the clock strikes midnight, it is, and then it shows for the new year, it is. It's like, so far as if most of us are from like doo 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 doo. It had that shouting the noisemakers, and then of course if you're gonna have go out there, honk the horn on your car. It is, go out to the car and honk the horn, and then like people were like, Happy New Year. And I remember one year, of course, my memories can go on and on. I don't know about anybody else, but about from where you were, and knowing about, with most of the time with like what you say is online banking, is they would ask you questions such as, it's like, do you remember where you were and what you were doing, say, on New Year's of such and such year? And knowing about, go ahead and right here is like, anybody can maybe thinking about that, yeah, if I do it to where that if you were to do online banking, it was, to draw a picture, of course, about what the land looked like back at such and such year. The year, of the year 94, and of course, the year 1989, about what the property looked like back then, if there was a fence, that was wrapped around the yard, and then if there was an open field, of course, in the back, and then until they renovated that and built some new houses back there, whichever it is. But I can remember, of course, from where I was back those couple of years ago. But then, of course, of knowing about it, talking about them, of course, takes quite a while. But on the other hand, is basically talking about with the word New Year's, and basically pretty much means, like anybody probably thinking about it, it's like the holiday that comes about right after Christmas time. Right after Christmas time. That you have it to where that it's a time to where you celebrate with your family, and of course with your friends, of celebrating, of course, the New Year. And I could probably thinking about that. I used to usually think that New Year's, right after New Year's, and it's like that, yeah, and you're looking forward to Christmas time, and then after you open up the presents, if it was Christmas or if it was Hanukkah, then you would be looking forward to open up the Christmas presents, and then after the presents it was, then and then it was like, and then New Year's, and then it'd be like, yeah, and then New Year's, and then by the time New Year's comes, and it's like that, yep, well, I don't want to have to go back to work, I don't want to go back to school, or such and such. But On the other hand, too, that anybody probably think about is that usually whenever I would go back to school, a lot of times that they would have it to where that what exactly did you do on say on New Year's it was, and with anybody would probably think about, well, had a few drinks, or I had we listened to music, we watched TV for quite a while, and anybody can maybe think about that with New Year's. Like New Year's Eve, it's kind of like what you call a family reunion. And that I can say is like talking about with this definition so far as for family reunion. It's kind of like a family reunion. And I guess no matter no matter where you are, it is that we could probably think about. It's like that anybody may be thinking about that. Well, what do you call it? Whatever, if you're celebrating it alone. Let's just say that if you're somewhere where there's not a whole lot of people, and knowing about that, maybe if in the sea, if you're out at sea, it is, and then if it was New Year's out at sea, it was. What do you call it? What do you call New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, New Year's night, whenever you're out at sea it is. And I guess the particular word for it would say still be like New Year's, but on the other hand too, that knowing about that's the type of celebration of knowing about the things that more likely that maybe you can see from the outdoors, and then anybody maybe think about if you were to go to other countries, such as maybe say New Zealand or any place like that, and at the time, I used to, think, of course, in these past 4 years it is of knowing about that whenever, every, about, around New Year's time, I used to always think that's whenever the sun, is completely, goes completely around, say, planet Earth it is, about a full approximate year it is whenever the sun goes completely around the Earth it is. And knowing about that right here, you got right here is like what you call is like for Earth right here. And at the time, I'm like thinking about if you'll be visiting maybe other countries it is, and then find out like that it's like talking about if you had like what you call is like the sun, and I can go ahead and draw the sun too. Is that you have right here? You probably think about well. The sun will be more than just what you call is like that glowing ball right here. But go ahead and draw it, and about right here, it's like with the sun, you say orbiting. Of course, you say around planet Earth, and we could probably think about that. That with the sun will probably be much bigger, of course, than the Earth. But knowing about right here, you got right here is the sun, and knowing about that, it's like. Only have so much room, of course, to draw it, but right here is the sun. I'll go ahead and draw like what you call, it's like put a little, add a little bit of green right here for the sun. And with the sun though, it's like is talking about with New Year's it is as it's like if we were thinking about the story talking about with New Year's that it's like talking about the number of times the sun goes around and say. And how long it takes, if I can remember right, I was reading it before about how long approximately how many days, you say months, say of the year that the sun goes completely around the Earth it is, and I was reading it's like 1 full year it is. So for about 2 years I was thinking about that with the sun it's like the sun will be out, and then by the time New Year's came it was just like that for whenever it went completely around the Earth it was. So on the other hand, that from wherever we are, that knowing about from the people that we talk to, and of course your family, friends, and stuff, people that we were with, you say on New Year's it was, the things that we were doing, and the things from what we can remember it is I can remember quite a few New Year's festivals it was, and they took place. Quite a few of them took place in Missouri it was, and exactly about what do we do a lot of times that we would have like what you call is like you say kind of family reunions it was that we would cook hot chocolate, and of course that we would do something and to do some stuff of course it's like talk about, we would hang around the Christmas tree or something like that, or we would you say you'd be hang around, say going outside, have like a little gathering outside or something like that. But one New Year's, of course, I can remember, of course, was back in the '99. It was, and I can say that to tell anybody that but the New Year's in 1998 is like I can remember that from where I was. It's like of course that was with of course with my mother, and then of course her friend, and knowing about we were at a house, and we were probably thinking about wondering about it's like if they were going to have the ball dropping, say on TV. It was had the ball going down on the TV, and knowing about that some people may think about they like to watch the races and stuff, but I can remember that we were watching TV, and then we didn't hear no fireworks. A lot of times that for every year since 1996 that they would you would be able to hear the fireworks going off, and of course you hear car horns going off and stuff, but then one year I remember that was back in 1999. We kept thinking about from 1996 and 1997 that's like knowing about that yep, from how the years go by. It is, and like me with like if I would be wearing like what you call like my old glasses right here, and talking about from New Year's. It is the key definition for the word New Year's, and talking about like where do the years usually go, that whatever happened to the year 2001, whatever happened to the year 2005 it was, and we could probably thinking about well, they all just came. The days, they say the days of the year. It's like if there's like what you call like the 365 I think 365 something like that days out of a year. It is that if we were to do the math, it is like talking about with maybe 10 days if altogether there's only about 7 days out of a week, but if we say 10 days out of a week, that usually about how much do you think that you would probably be doing? What do you think you would be doing out of those 10 days out of a week? It is, and if we were to do the math, is talking about that. Yep, it's like so far as how long it takes for the wait. It is, and some people may think about, hey, the year seemed like it went by pretty slow. Well, the year seemed like it went by pretty fast. It was. But on the other hand, too, that knowing about that, yep, from whatever that we're doing, it is basically, it's like, the year, it's not really speeding up time and not really slowing down time. But on the other hand, too, that the year is just what you call, ticking as a normal. And so far as the word New Year's is basically talking about, it's like for whenever I guess you could say that whenever the time expires, whenever the day and time expires, for that, for the new year. And I can remember every year that I can remember that go ahead and be writing a story about time expires, for the New Year's. It is basically talking about for so far as excitement. For excitement, it is not knowing about that. The have right here is like the things that you could be doing. Maybe playing games. Playing games. Playing games. Maybe watching TV. Watching TV, but on your hand too, that knowing about that, you could probably think about that. If you did have to work the next day, then like so far as getting up at that certain time, say in the morning, you say on New Year's it was, but anybody may think about that. Have parties like the time of the year to where that you can stay up. It's like talking about anybody can maybe think about the time where you can stay up, past midnight. Because I know back in 1999 that I can tell anybody here, I can be honest with anybody here that a lot of times that people would not want to, people could not stay up past midnight or stay up, until 1 o'clock. And for whatever reason, that back in 1998 and back in 1999, that it's like people, if we were over at a friend's house or something like that, and we would think about it, like, how long are you going to be staying for? And they said, well, we'll probably stay until 1. Like, and that's late. Like, and well, it's New Year's also, so a lot of kids, of course, in the family are thinking about that we'll probably be leaving around 1, or we'll probably be leaving around 2 or something like that. And the time of the year to where a lot of people are up late at night, maybe playing games and watching TV and stuff, is like on New Year's it is. But basically that it's like the definition for what I have is talking about is like from the memories from what I can remember on New Year's is like if this New Year's gathering, if this New Year's celebration had anything to do with, like, maybe if it was work or having a good times, it was. And I could think about is like that I was thinking about starting out maybe the year would have been like 1989. It was it's like New Year's of 1990, or if it was 1991 or something like that. But it's like we may not all remember what we did exactly on, they say, for on New Year's, but on the other hand too, I can remember about that. They were talking about from the Y2K. It's like we were all thinking about that. It's like, oh no, what's going to happen to the computers? What's going to happen to the TV? And I remember one year that we were at a friend's house, and then there was somebody that was flipping the light switch, pretend like if the lights were actually going to flicker off and on or something like that. And it's like, oh no, that was just me. That was just me flipping the switch, or that was just somebody clicking the remote or something like that. But on the other hand, that knowing about with New Year's, though, that, just like, that the Mayan calendar, it was like, around, say, New Year's, it was, you say, from December to 21st, it was, we could think about is like for New Year's, though. New Year's is basically talking about, a celebration of the new year. And, like with almost anybody that we can probably think about, is that with New Year's, really, is that really supposed to be about a time of the year to where, to be worried about, oh no, we ain't got enough flu vaccines or anything like that. Like oh no, it's like, they're predicting what you call is a meteor shower. They're predicting a meteor shower. And what is a meteor shower supposed to do? But on the other hand, that the way I would think about with most of the time on, especially on New Year's holidays, is basically talking about, it's like you say, the good times, and that knowing about, it's like you say, treat it like for almost any other year. And from the New Year's that I've been to from over the years, it was at the time that I've had experience, New Year's, to where it seems like I missed something, or the fact about the, hey, you were supposed to do something, or you were supposed to see something, and they're like, nope, just, it's going to go on at least until morning time. It's like anybody probably think about it, whenever the sun rises. Whenever the sun comes up, that more likely you'll knowing about anything that was supposed to be planned, of course, for the next year. But it's like talking about, it's like, from whenever the time, say, time meeting comes, is like that talking about, it's like at the time between the minute hour, and then of course it's like that with the hands, that though it's like with the time hour, it is basically whenever it strikes the 1 and of course the 2, if knowing about. It's like so far as talking about that with the new year, it is you wake up and find out it's a new year. And if anybody would probably think about on New Year's, it is, and after the New Year's party, and basically talking about, it's like, well, it's just like any other holiday, it is, it comes and goes, and then we come up to that stuff that of course that we have to do, it is. But on the other hand too, from that other stuff that of course that we have to do, so far as counting numbers and stuff like that, and knowing about that hey, for stuff that maybe we don't want to do, but on the other hand too, that knowing about ways to how to help that is knowing about that there may be something that more likely that could be maybe a little bit interesting for that something that you don't want to do. You know, it could be turning in a homework assignment or whichever it is, but basically talking about it so far as the memories from where you were and what you were doing it was, and be and hey, you know, I remember that time, but other than that you have right there is like talking about the details right here of a house, and I can real quick go ahead and add like what you call like, you know, details if it had a backyard. It is, and we could probably think about, you know, for, you know, year by year by year by year, like on like which calls like on Google Earth it is. It's basically it's like that the, you know, year by year by year of knowing about that you know, any pictures or any drawings, of course, that knowing about, that's like talking about is like, well, what do you think the state or the government has planned, of course, from what they're going to be using this land for and then that land for? It's like talking about, you know, maybe we'll find out. Maybe we'll find out in the future. Maybe by the year 2015, you will find out if they're going to build maybe a factory, you know, back here, you know, in this on this land of what you call like of 3 acres or something like that. But anyway, that talk about, you know, from the years. It's like talk about, it's like you say, like the counting down to say of the years. It's talk about, it's like in fun. It's like in fun. But almost every year around New Year's it was, I can remember that we would usually that we would be watching TV and then having those family gatherings it was. And I can remember one year that I wanted to show people, of course, a few of my drawings, of course, and they were like, not right now. We're actually playing the game. We're actually in the middle of wanting to have a drink or something like that. We're watching a TV show or something. And a lot of times, I could probably be honest with anybody here, on New Year's Eve, that's whenever I would I would walk into the kitchen or the living room with everybody else that was there on New Year's, and I want to get their attention by saying, hey, you want to play a game with me, or hey, you want to look at the book that I got, for Christmas, or it could be it's like for the Hanukkah, it's a holiday or something like that. And knowing about that, anybody may be thinking about that on New Year's, really, New Year's is basically talking about celebration of the New Year, spending time with the family and friends, is knowing about the understanding, of course, about from when the New Year comes. But other than that, is talking about right here, it's like for the word New Year's, is like color activity.